Hello there, fellow oculators. Dave Drawing here. I'm going to share a little project with you that I'm working on. When I first got this thing, one of the first accessories that I noticed was available for the Oculus Quest 2 was from a company called Anker. Now, a lot of you have already bought the Anker charging dock, which I think is a very cool thing. And I was this close to getting one. In fact, I was going to get two of them because, as you may know, my wife and I both have an Oculus Quest 2. So we were going to get those, but they're like $90 a pop. And we're already pretty deep in this thing, and some people, can't really afford it. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if you could get, let me try that again. The way that it works is, if you're not already familiar with it, if you already have one, great. If it's working, even after all your accessories, that's great too. The way it works is, it's a charging big piece of plastic. It has a place to set your headset in the middle, and each of your controllers on each side. And they include the hardware necessary to let you charge not only the headset, but the controllers all at the same time. I've seen questions, about the controllers. Some of the newer folks, which I was one not too long ago, didn't even realize that there were batteries for these that you had to change, or, it would be great if you could recharge them, but you can't recharge them because they're not rechargeable batteries that come with them. And even if you did have rechargeable ones, it's kind of a pain in the butt to take these apart. Some people have trouble getting the little covers off. They're hard to get off sometimes. Some of them just pop off. But anyway, it would be great if you could recharge the batteries, not only that you use in these, but recharge them in place. Now, the Anker, as I said, comes with all the equipment you need to do that. I don't have one here to show you, but basically what they do is they supply you with an extra little battery cover. Boy, it does come off easy, doesn't it? Only with practice, right? So anyway, they come with an extra cover for your battery compartment, and it has a little hole in it, which is handy because the batteries have a little charging doodad in them. They actually make batteries that have a way to charge directly into the battery. Some of you know that, some of you don't. I didn't know it, but I think it's pretty cool. So I thought, wouldn't it be good if Anker would just sell just the part that goes in the controllers and not have to buy the whole cumbersome thing. Well, not cumbersome. Again, it's a great product. If you can use it and you can afford it, get one. It's the best way to charge everything at once, and you don't have to do any modifications or make any changes. But if you're like me, you look for solutions if you can't go that way. Another problem that people have with the Anker charging dock is, if you get different accessories for your headset, like I did, the halo makes it really hard to fit in there. And a lot of people use an external battery pack, like this one, and you have to unplug the thing from the headset so it fits in, because the Anker comes with a little dongle that plugs into where your charging thing goes, so that when you sit it in the charger, it makes magnetic contact with the charger built into the dock. Then when you take it out, if you want to use your battery pack, you got to plug it back in. And yeah, that's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of a pain. And if you don't want to have to mess with that, you might look for another solution. So I looked online and I actually found a place, and I even made a link to it on the group, where you can buy a kit from another company. The name escapes me right now, but I can put it in the links. It's where you get the covers and the rechargeable batteries and the cables to charge them, which is great. But that costs, after shipping and everything, between $50 and $60. Again, that's a lot of money. I mean, if you're going to spend $60, why not just spend $80 or so and get the charging dock? But again, if you want to charge your controllers without using the big charging base, it won't work. So nobody's going to buy the Anker dock just to get those little pieces and not use the base itself. So you can spend the $50 or $60 and get the extra covers, and you can get the batteries and all that. But I have learned that you can get the batteries that have a little charging port in them, as you can see right there, which is kind of cool. These have a C or the same port that your Oculus has on the side. It's a C charger, so you could actually charge these batteries with the cable that came with your Oculus. And you think, well, that's a pain because you'd have to do two of them, but they come with this little four-way pluggy thing where you only have to plug it into one charger, and it'll plug into all four of these guys at once. But again, you only need to charge two of them, so you can charge two of them at a time. Still kind of a pain to take them out. Now, they come four in a pack like most AA batteries do. And they come with a little charging thing, but we don't need that. So, we're not going to use that. And we only need two of the batteries for one headset. Fortunately for me, I have two headsets, so it's good that it comes with two sets of two. That'll work out great. Now, besides this set of batteries, you also need cables. Now, these are special magnetic cables. And you think, well, how does that attach? Yeah, it comes with this cool little set of every darn kind of little charging end you could think of. It's got micro USB, which is, what we call the old phone charging end, which you can see it, I'm not sure. We got that kind. We've got the C end, which is what we need for our little batteries. That's the same port that your headset has. And it also has even a set of, I'm not sure what they're called, but I think it's the type that goes into like an iPhone. So it comes with four of each of these guys, which is really great, a little kit. Because not only does it come with all the different ends for whatever use you might have, it also comes with four cables, two 3-footers and two 6-footers. Two of them have a straight end, which this is not. Okay, I'll find one. Okay. It has a straight end to plug in, and then this has an angled. So you got a 3 and a 6-foot angle, and a 3 and a 6-foot straight, which is cool. And they stick to each other because they got magnets on them. So basically, what you do is you take the little end and you stick it in the battery like that. So you got a little battery with a little thing sticking out of it. And then you take your charging doodad and it just click, just pops on there like this. And it charges. You plug the other end into a USB, one of those whole drawer full of USB chargers you got laying around. You just pop it in there and off you go. So, how does that work with this? And there's the rub, right? So, what we have to do is take our controller with its smooth little battery cover that doesn't have any holes in it and make a hole in it like that. Not real hard. It's a little bit tricky. What I do, the way I do it, is you take the cover off, not too hard. You put one of the batteries in, and you put it so that the little charging thingy is all the way over to this side here, like that. Okay? Then, you take one of the battery ends, or charging dongles, and you pop it in there. And then what you do is you just kind of, it's part eyeball and part, well, it's not really guesswork, but if you put it in so that this end is in its little slot, you can't put it all the way on, obviously, because the thing's sticking up. But if you line it up right, if you use if you use the one that doesn't have a hole in it already, you just take a pencil and make a little mark, like where it would go, this way, and then kind of pull it aside and make a little mark this way. So you put a little cross on the cover itself. Kind of like, it'll look like this. Yeah, you just have a little mark where you think the hole goes. And again, if you line it up, putting that slot in there, you can kind of, Look at where the thing goes. Might help with the battery in there. Yeah, I know. Old feeble brains like mine take a little time. So bear with me. All right. So you have it in the place. You got its little dongle on it. You put this in the bottom and just kind of, keep looking at it. Oh, let's see. It'll go. As you can see, I got my mark is way off. I just guessed. You go like that. And you see, put it on there, make a mark until you think it's in the middle of where that goes. And remember, keep it turned all the way this way. That way, if it's turned that way, obviously it's not going to work. So you want to keep it pretty much turned all the way. And the curve of this it's best to be as close to this seam as possible. That's what I learned through trial and error. So anyway, you put that on there, make your little mark. See? There you go. So once you get your little cross on there, then what I recommend is you get a little drill bit about this big, about 1/8 of an inch or smaller. You chuck it up in your handy drill, and very carefully you drill that little hole right where that cross goes. Now, the reason you do this is because you don't want a big old drill bit to go jumping around. If you always start with a small hole, then that helps guide the bigger drill bit later. Some of you woodworkers are probably familiar with that. If not, that's a tip. So you drill a hole with a little bitty drill bit, and then once you got that, you take it and put it back, and you can look through there with good light and see that it's right. If you look at that little dongle, it's like a little bullseye. So when you put your cover back on, you can line up that little hole you've drilled and make sure it looks right. If it doesn't, you can make adjustments. But it doesn't have to be exactly right, because it has a little bit of leeway. It'll play a little each way. But get it as close to that as you can. And once you're satisfied with that, you get your bigger drill bit. Now, the way you determine which drill bit is, now if you get the same ones I do, I can tell you that it is I can't say it, a 1/2 inch drill bit. It's just a little bit bigger around. Now I use the straight end, because the straight end, the housing is a little bit bigger around than the angled end. So I use the straight one. So if you just kind of line that up on the drill bit, you can see that it's just slightly bigger. And you want it a little bit bigger, so it has a little bit of wiggle room. So once you have that, take your drill and drill this hole the rest of the way through very carefully. Try to keep it nice and neat. And then once you get the bigger hole drilled, it'll look like this. And that's about how it would be. Pretty close to the edge there. But once it's all in place, it really doesn't matter. Now, the problems that we ran into with doing this is, you'd think, well, that's real simple. Then you just put the battery in like that, and then you just take the case and put it on. But it doesn't work that way, because, as we found, unfortunately, just back in this one, let me get the covers on the right unit. Once this is in place, unfortunately, you can't put it on right, because the little dongle itself actually sticks out, as you can see there, and it won't let it go into place properly. Now, how do you get around that? The way you get around that is you pull the little dongle thingy out. Then you put the cover on, and then you put the dongle in the hole. Now you want to think about this for a minute before you do it, because you kind of commit at that point. It's not permanent, but it is a little tricky to get it back out, because they go in and they stick in there real good, which is good, because you don't want it falling out. Like when you pull your magnetic cable off, you don't want the thing to pop off. So I recommend that before you stick that in there, you can look and see, oh, the slot is there, and you can see that it's lined up with the hole, and it'll pop right in, no problem. The thing you got to remember is, part of the reason people don't want to keep taking their battery covers on and off is, like, my wife uses these strappy things, to hold it to your hand or whatever. A lot of people use these, and it makes it a little weird to get the battery cover off sometimes. And some people use those full vinyl and rubber or whatever covers that go over these. And then, of course, you've got to take all that stuff off to take the battery cover off. So you don't want to have to do all that stuff over and over again. And even if you just use the regular strap that goes in them uh, to change those or to put them on, like I put one of these on and forgot to put the strap back on, so I had to get it back out again, which is why I knew it was a problem. So, but all you do is if it does have to come back out, you just get a sharp object like a sharp knife or something, and you just kind of stick it in the edge and just pry up a little bit, and it'll pop out. So it can be done. It's better to make sure you have everything installed that you want installed before you put the little dongle thingy in the slot. Just letting you learn from my mistakes, okay? Now the next problem that I ran into is I like these. Now, that's a whole different video, but I like these handles. I use them for Beat Saber. I use them for World War I fighter planes. And just about every game I use, I don't even take them off because there's no reason to. And I like the way they feel, and you get kind of used to them. You can still use your controls just like normal. You just have this little end sticking out. I even found that if you're doing something sitting down, you can rest these on your knees. You can rest them on a table. It actually gives a little bit of stability, especially like for flying and stuff like that. Anyway, I like these handles. I've got another video on how to get these to work because I couldn't find the kind with the little knobs on the end like I like. Most of them have a strap or something that goes across here. I like the kind that you tighten the bottom and they're just there. Anyways, I've got a video how those work with the Oculus 2, even though when you buy them, it says they don't. Like I said, whole different video. But anyway, I've got these things, and I'm thinking, well, I got to take these off every time I change the batteries too. So now I've got my little hole drilled in there, and I could just put them in and have another problem, right? Now I can't plug my little charger in because guess where the hole ends up? Not a problem. We just get our little drill out again, and I made another hole. And as you can see, there's a hole in the handle. You got to be careful. You have to put it back together after you make the hole in the battery cover. You put it all together. You crank it down as tight as you want it, and then you can make a little mark where the hole goes. Then you just get your two drill bits out, zip right through this the material of the handle, and you never know the difference. So that's how that works. So I'm going to put one together now. I won't make you wait while I take this thing apart because it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Magic. Okay, I took it apart, got it all put back together. As you can see, now we got our little chargy doodad in there. And I put my wife's controller back together, and you can see we got a little chargy thing in there too. Now, when you charge these guys, there's a way that you could make sure they're charging. Is they have a little red light. You see that little red light blinking? Yeah, there you go. Now that's kind of hard to see once they're installed, but they do work. And once you know it's right, you know it wasn't charging if you put it in there to charge and didn't. But once they're in place, it clicks right in there. And now I wish this lit up when it was charging, but unfortunately it's lit up all the time, so it doesn't really help you. But if you're in a really dark room, and I tried showing it to the camera, but it won't. But if you cover up the blue light with your fingers and look in there real close, you can actually see the red light is blinking. It's a little trickier when you have these handles on, but when you just have the controller itself, straps or whatever, if it's just open like my wife's is, you put the thing on there and you can actually look and see that the red light's blinking. Not for the camera, unfortunately, but just gonna have to trust me on that one. But this thing's hot because it glows blue all the time. And you just put it on there. There you go. And then you got two cables, two controllers, and they're both charging. Plug your headset in to the cable that came with it, and you are charging all three of them at the same time. And the cost, don't make me lie. I had a cheat sheet here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, I think the batteries were like $15 and the cables were $20 or something like that. But it's somewhere in that neighborhood. So you're looking at about $35 and a little work with the drill, and you can charge everything without ever taking any batteries out. You get 2 of these, 1 of these, can charge with 3 cables. Now you can actually, since this thing comes with 4 C's, and if you don't have 2 units like we do, you could actually put one of the dongles in your headset and charge using one of the other. You come with 4 cables, so you could charge your headset and both of these using the magnetic connection. Also, what I think is really great about this particular set, and I don't know if they all come with this or not, but this set of cables, as I told you earlier, comes with C's, micro USB, and I don't remember, Lightning. I think maybe the ones that goes into into an iPhone. I think it's Lightning, but it comes with 4 of each of those, so you could actually put these on your phone, your tablet, anything that charges with any of those ends, and use these cables for charging them. Like I'm having these right next to where I sit. The shelves for the Oculus is right next to me, so I could just plug my phone in to charge, plug a tablet in to charge, any number of devices, or the Oculus stuff, which is what we got them for, and they'll be charging whenever we're not using them. Keep them nice and fully charged. Of course, as with most battery things, opinions vary. People say, well, never leave them plugged in all the time. Only leave them plugged in for a couple of hours, whatever. I usually plug them in overnight. I go to bed, I plug them in. I get up, I unplug them. Now, the batteries that came with these things last forever. Excuse me. Some people say they only last a few days. Ours lasted, I don't know, like 10 days. I've had people say, well, I've had it for a month and they're still going. I think it all depends on what you play and how often you play and how vigorously you play. I'm not sure. But rechargeable batteries are not going to last as long as the AA's that came with them. Because these are really good batteries. You can buy really good AA. Some people just buy boxes of them and keep changing them. That's your business. But I thought this would be kind of fun to find out how you could do it. So you can buy the Anker charging dock for $80 or $90. You can buy the kit from another company for around $50 or so bucks. That comes with everything I just showed you. Already got a hole in it. Or you can do what I just did for $35 and a little bit of work. But anyway, when you're done, you'll be able to charge your controllers with a magnetic charging cord like that. And that's about all there is to it. I will have links in the post. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. This is Dave Drawing, signing off with a poop.